Thank you.
Okay, okay, that's what I'm saying. We first need to know, I do, and that's what I want to know from her and others about that building before we can even do this, because you jumping the gun.
Okay.
And the jumping the gun to me is, you want us to give you this while y'all sneak around and do that. That C part.
Yeah.
Without letting us have any say so and know where the building is at.
Right.
Cause I got plenty of questions for the general service person. And I've also asked you for planning department and all of them, because number one thing is, they need to answer some of the questions that has been asked a long time ago that still is up in the air. So as you flipping, taking us ahead and not allow us to ask these questions to bring it together.
Okay.
Because I see what y'all doing over there, because I ride through there every day to check. I don't know about nobody else, but I do. You're fencing it up.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
I understand why you fence it up. Okay? But while you fencing it up, we don't know why you're fencing it up.
Okay.
You understand where I'm coming from? We don't know your planning of putting the fence up. Is it planning for this or is it planning for that? But what you want to go back and tell them is, we agree to y'all's structure, but I want to start with what's going over there now, so that we can move forward with that. And as that come in the background, we can fulfill that.
Okay. Let me talk about it like two ways, and I will answer your correct questions directly, and that's why Shauna's here. So we have two paths. One, and I just want to, if anybody has any questions about that, just stop me. We have the Let's Open Wheels code compliant path. That's a largely construction path. There's not a lot of opportunity for the community to comment, because you can't comment on federal law, such as like ADA. This is in the hands of Shauna right now, and we've sent out kind of detailed reports on everything that needs to be fixed. Council has approved the budget for this. We're in the process of hiring a contractor, standard vanilla contractor to do the standard vanilla stuff. Right now, the only construction activity is somewhat securing the site that also lets people know with the fencing that something is going to happen here. The only thing that we know that's going to happen here is the code compliance for wheels, because council's given us a deadline of 15 months. And we that is on the agenda to go through. The what I was hoping to get out of this group, but I'll take, I can be bent in either direction because it's your group. We also have another mandate by council. When this opens right here in 15 months, are we going to say, gee, we don't have an operator for it? We can open it, but there's nobody to like check people in. There's nobody to program. There's nobody to that. That's why you're here. And that 15 months has to match up here. So there's not a lot you can do. You can ask questions about this, but it's in largely the hands of very boring people like HVAC contractors. Sorry, HVAC contractors. Plumbers, concrete. We're doing the minimum amount to get this structure ready for business, up and running, code compliant. But what I think could be a really awesome thing is to talk about why we're doing this. What direction should we go? Should we do a private contractor or this? So this, I want to keep you guys informed about that. And I think, we've tried, but this is the area you have the most influence right now and the most you can guide staff.
Okay, you're telling me the federal government said we cannot ask no question in the rate.
I don't think that's true, Mr. Chavis.
Well, what are you saying about the rate? I'll go back to the rate. Because the red is talking about the building and its place. And what we're trying to find out.
Americans with Disabilities Act.
Okay, American
We covered this last
Disability
time.
is just one part of it.
Yep.
Okay, that's dealing with the handicap and all that. And I know all about that.
Right.
So I know we can ask you questions on that.
You absolutely can.
Okay, so that's the part I do know.
Right.
But what I'm talking about, have you yet got a contract or got a bid out for that roof? How much it's gonna cost for that roof? When have you applied for that? I mean, you got it up there, but you jumping us all the way up here, and we still don't know nothing about that building and nor the compliance of that building right now.
Right,
And that's
okay.
why I wanna know the compliance of that building and what are y'all doing?
Excellent.
And then you can come on with
Okay.
that.
So we sent out a 120-page report that some of us have read, thank you. That details every structural necessity that needs to happen here. Hi, Karthik. So that is, so we could take this in two directions. Last, we discussed a lot about that, and we could continue to discuss everything and then essentially eliminate or send this part of the agenda to sometime after 7 o'clock. Or we can separate the meetings, or we can continue the way we had set this out of talking about some of the values there first, then getting into the does the roof leak. So I'd like to hear from the group. Mr. Chavis, we've heard from you, thank you. And I agree, that has to be done. That's why Shauna is here, she's on the agenda. And we are, you know, it's clock's ticking, folks. So what do you want to do?
I just have a question about the ADA compliance.
Yep.
Because the city has rented, I don't know how many buildings since the ADA, law was passed 30 years ago, I'm assuming. And many of those buildings were not ADA compliant. The city is still renting, the one where they put improvement services in. There's no access to the third floor.
If I could just say, I think ADA was even passed until like 1990, right?
I don't recall.
It's more than 25 years old.
Yeah.
It's more than 20, I know it's more than 25 years old. And maybe close to 30.
Okay.
Are you
So
asking
the
if
city
the
has-
lake is not ADA compliant? Like, do you want to have wheels open and not let it be accessible?
No, but
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you're making this like it's a kill deal when the city has rented several buildings that were not ADA compliant.
Respectfully, I
So-
don't think that's what he's saying. I think what he's saying is that there's not a whole lot of discussion around what's needed to be done to get
So
ADA
what
compliant.
what are the things that need to be done to make ADA? It's a flat building, so interest to the building is not
Well,
an
like
issue.
you said, it's in the 120-page report. There's-
Okay.
There's access ramps, there's access to the skating floor, there's access to water fountains, all sorts of things. There's a lot of like small little
Okay.
things that are just to make it accessible.
When this was all presented to city
I
council.
see this and I see where it's going. They trying to push all this on us without us allowing, and you maybe sit there and read all that information. But they asking a few of us to come to these meetings that does not sit down and do what you do. I'm not for pushing that building open unless I understand about that building now. We need to understand about that building now and where it is standing and where is it going from. Not just ADA. There's all, yeah, you're talking about the plumbing. You're talking about the kitchen. You're talking about the roof. You're talking about the parking lot, the sound system. You got a lot to talk about the structure of that building. And now he's talking about trying to get somebody to operate it.
And just to be
Okay,
fair, this
so-
was the
so-
task by council, by, especially by council, person Middleton. One was, here's the money, find a way to open the building, comply with federal law, as an ADA and every safety code. That's all in the 120-page report, and that's gonna get done. That's gonna get done. So what, they also said is, just to repeat, open the building with an operator. So don't just have us an empty, perfect building.
Right.
And that is something that we can either go put out a request for proposal, or we can consider it operating it on the operating model, another model like a center, which was suggested last week. So now I'm hearing that people seem to want to ship. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it seems like we could do both. Just rearrange it. We just do a
Okay.
local update now, if that's okay with Shauna.
Motion on the floor to rearrange the agenda to talk about the structural update with Shauna Parker. Shauna, take it away. Structural update.
All right, hi everybody. I'm a project manager with the General Services Department, and I am going to be working on making this happen. So we had given a presentation to council in October that went through the full analysis that had been done of the wheels skating rink. That included all of the deficiencies that were noted, and I know that some of you have already looked through that report. And then there are as you all know, there are ADA deficiencies, there are code deficiencies, life safety issues that need to be addressed to get the building ready for occupancy. Right now we have a request for qualifications that's been advertised, so it's out on the city's website to hire a design team, because in order to bid out this project, since we're anticipating that the full cost was going to be over around $1.7 million, based on the just kind of general estimate that was put together. We need to put together a set of plans, and then it'll go out for bid for contractors to bid on the work. So right now we have a request for qualifications that's out. We had a kind of pre-proposal meeting the other day, and there were 5 or 6 engineering and architecture firms that came to the meeting that are interested. Those proposals are going to be due back on November 16th. And then we had presented a schedule to council, which is where that 15 months for completion of getting everything finished came from. And with the issuing of that request for qualifications, we're on schedule to have a design team selected by the end of the year, and then present this to council for approval of a contract to move forward with design in early 2023. And then we're going to kind of do a fast track design process, since most of the items on the list, we're not going to be making a lot of modifications to the interior of the building. It's like people have mentioned, it's accessibility items, plumbing, the HVAC, the roof, if that ends up being an issue. We had done the assessment, and we've had folks from General Services review the roof, and didn't see any outstanding or any items that kind of jumped out at anybody, but we'll definitely be taking a look at that if there are concerns about the roof leaking and things like that. We obviously wouldn't want to open the building back up with that being a problem. So we are in the process, like I said, of hiring a design team, and then we'll go out for a construction contract. And then the full contract, like Tom had mentioned, or the full project, we have a schedule of 15 months that's been mandated by council to complete the renovations that are required to get this facility back open to the public. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has. I don't have any other specific information to provide, because once we have a design team on board, they'll go back and review in more detail the items listed in that deficiency report that we received, and then start documenting the actual renovations that need to take place in order to bring everything up to code.
Looks like Dr. Stewart has his hand raised. I don't know if he has a question.
Yes, I do. A few things for the GSA team. You mentioned it's 15 months fast track forward. My questions are, 1, how long are you allotting for design versus construction? Number 2, what is your reference for looking at a skating rink to design? And number 3, is there a soft budget that is public to look at some of the items in construction, particularly the floor and moisture mitigation?
For the going to the question on the schedule, we currently have 4. Wait, sorry, let me go back and look here. We have the 4 months for the design team to put together the construction documents, which is a pretty quick timeline. But since we're not, it's not a big design project, it's more kind of functional items. That's something that we think is very doable. And then we have another 4 months for the construction duration, which again is pretty quick, but we will advertise this for bid with that construction duration, which may increase the cost of some of the construction, but in order to get things open more quickly, that was kind of the balance that we kind of put into play when we were putting together the schedule. And I can't speak to the flooring in the facility. We didn't have anything in the assessment that spoke specifically of the skating rink floor.
Dr. Stewart?
Yes.
So another part of this is has to do a little bit with program too. So we must move forward with all code compliance. Getting into the fine details also gets into once we have an operator, and that then we understand other nuances and how we want to improve the site in general too. So the operator can kind of help advise us on other items on how best to operate. So that's one of the reasons we want to try to find an operator sooner in the construction process.
Gotcha. And then the last question is to piggyback. Then I know you're kind of figuring this out. Then, based on it being government, are you considering doing design bid build or design build for the execution of this?
We have design bid build in the kind of timeline right now. We've put out the RFQ for a design team that will put together construction documents that would be let for bid.
All right, thank you.
Oh, Cliff has a, oh, sorry, Mr. Chavis, I think.
No, go ahead, Cliff.
Okay, Cliff.
More of a comment, I think. I think we should probably just factor in redoing the floor. I mean, I think that's kind of a pretty standard part of the renovation. I would think everyone would agree on that. I mean, I've skated that floor a lot. There's some dips in there. and so I think it's, yeah.
Because there's a lot of pressure on it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
many people using it.
Right. And it's all, and it's an old floor, yeah.
It's like it's been shellacked over like 1,000 billion times and it's sticky and it's not ideal.
On that note, yes, that would be great. Great. Am I asked of you, do you need a special contractor to redo the floor, or is it a floor redo person? Like,
I mean, they have, yeah, I mean, there's people who do that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I think as far as I understand, it will cost 40 to 50 grand.
Okay. Good to know. We'll note that and then try to hustle with the budget that we have. We want to make sure we fit all items, but yeah, floor is key. Kelsey.
Sorry, Ms. Parker, just a couple of quick questions to make sure that everybody, I understand at least. So when we talk about the building getting into code compliant, does that mean all the plumbing is going to be working properly?
Yes.
Does that mean that the roof will not have any leaks?
Yes, I mean, we're definitely going to be taking a look at the roof since it's something that's been pointed out. And like I said, we've, taken a look at it as with our trades folks, and we had somebody take a look at the roof as part of the assessment. And that wasn't something that was noted, but obviously if there are issues with the roof, that will be something that is addressed prior to opening.
And will it include the kitchen, or is that something that would be covered by the operator after the RFP process?
The current budget includes kind of a lump sum for an estimated kind of, I don't want to say minor updates, but, minimal updates to the kitchen to kind of make it usable. And then kind of a caveat that was included in the presentation to council was that any kind of specific upgrades that would be required by an operator to provide a certain type of food service or something like that is not included in the amount that we have included in the budget. So if, somebody came in and they wanted to sell wood-fired pizzas or something, that's not going to be part of what's in the budget right now. So it's kind of I think a hybrid, if you will.
Not all kitchens are equal, but roof straps should be. So things like that.
Right.
Yeah, so it'll be pretty bare bones. So if an operator came in and wanted to invest like that's all, that would have to be negotiated. We wouldn't want to anticipate what they wanted at this point.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we all understand, like when we say we have 15 months to get it code compliant to open the building, that means that we don't necessarily need to focus on things like plumbing, because that's part of that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, get the plumbing up, absolutely, and that is good compliant. I mean, we have to have flushing toilets. So,
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my question is, since this weekend it's been raining, have anyone been in that building to see where there have been any leaks or water spots that's been coming down the wall since we're saying roofing? Because that is a good way of telling whether the roof leaks or not.
Yeah.
You're waiting till it get dry, and they go in there and inspect it the way they want to, and come back and tell us later on that they don't pass it. And it's been raining, and it gives you a good example of where some of the leaks are in the wall, where you can't see, or it's coming through. So have y'all done that?
Well, I've been over there pretty consistently for over 2 years now, 1 year, and also we've had the Duke group for COVID shots, because we reasoned that as COVID for over a year. So there is some, from my opinion, some water splashback in one of the skate rooms, but we think it's coming from when the water hits on the outside and into the well. But
There are a lot of leaks.
what's that?
There are quite a few leaks.
Yeah, like we had buckets on.
We used to have,
Yeah.
buckets on the floor.
Yeah. Believe it or not,
And we just skated around.
she may have fixed that, and we had, before we bought the property, we had our, the folks that maintain this building, examine the entire building and make sure we secure it. And we had some very vocal nurses over there that, informed us about just about everything, but we're over there pretty consistently.
So did they do any repairs then?
They, Sean, I don't think they did, I can't recall, we did a lot of scurrying around. I don't remember if we did roof repairs at that point. I don't think it was necessary at that
Yeah, I
time.
mean, that may affect the state of the floor
Right.
and how much it costs to redo the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've had staff over there pretty consistently, just because also maintenance staff, they are charged with maintaining it. So Shauna's department has, just like they're charged with maintaining this. So it's a city of Durham property and they have staff over there. And plus we've had the architects over there pretty consistently too. So we've had several architectural reviews. I don't remember if it was in the rain.
But once again, if you don't go over there and there's rain, you will not see it. And I'm speaking from experience. We can just make it a point to go over it.
Well, I volunteer to set up my office there, so I can wait for the rain, but the Wi-Fi isn't that good. But, yeah.
know.
Right.
So if we go with a private operator and then the roof springs a leak or leaks did not get detected prior to opening, would the city of Durham still be on the hook for fixing the roof?
Yes.
Even if we have a private operator?
Yeah, they complain. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, they'd be like, and how we structure those arrangements so that they're very, very clear on who does what. So we have different groups, even like Durham Central Park is an example. We have a group that essentially programs the park. They have to fix certain things. We have to fix certain things. And it's like that with every building that we have. So it's a city of Durham building. The property remains in city of Durham hands. We structure a lease agreement in the way of the private contractor to, who's responsible for what. Obviously, if they see a leak, they're responsible for telling us. If they don't see a leak, that's kind of on them because we do have to know. But we'd also set up a regular inspection schedule through Shauna's department. Sound about right, Shauna?
Sounds right.
Not sorry to put you on the hook there.
Oh, that's all right. That's what I'm here for.
There are a couple items there too. Speaking of that, involved with the roof. Currently, there's no fall protection safety for workers, city workers, and we care about city workers. So those are some things that are being added because to make it easier for city workers to go and inspect. But we have, and that was an issue for our architects who recently inspected, who developed the report for Shauna.
What is fall protection?
Fall protection is, you know how you climb up on a ladder and you slip and you fall and you die?
Oh.
So this, and I very nearly have spoken from personal experience. The fall protection that you see at like Walltown Recreation Center has a cage
Oh,
around
yeah,
it, so that if you slip, you fall into the cage, you have a chance to hurt
Right,
yourself.
right.
So, yeah.
Sorry.
Let's move on from that subject. please.
It looks like ICE has their hand up.
Go ahead, Ice.
Ice, you're on mute.
Yeah, my question was, do you have photos or reports or anything that the general public can look at? And in addition, did any adjusters outside the city take a look at the property for leaks and damages and things of that nature? Is there a total report on the damages that's within the Rink?
At that 120-page report.
Yeah, yes, that is on our website. We can link you to that. That
Okay.
is a assessment by architects that we've hired in conjunction with General Services to tear through the building and understanding everything that could potentially be broken. Their assessment is it's in pretty good shape, but not code compliant. And
Okay.
other things like fall protection. That's on the line, and it is They're a professional report, so they're all stamped and licensed folks, monitored by Shauna's group.
Okay.
A follow-up to the rain wet question, so I think that goes along with that, has there been mold inspections?
I don't know, Shauna, have you gotten that detail?
There hasn't, excuse me, there hasn't been a specific mold inspection, but in the report, they did note one location. I think, Tom, you had mentioned like in the shop area in the front, there was a location that looked like some water was seeping in at the base. So that's one thing that's in the request, or at least to take a look at and have somebody come out and take a closer look at it. And then whenever we get the design team in there, if there is concern about the mold, then obviously we have somebody come in and take a closer look at that to see if there is any abatement that's needed.
Cause for concern, note to self, we'll come back later and do that because we have some, not roof leakage, but backflow from the concrete. The whole site is concrete, so, yeah.
Okay, then that, going back to the question you referred to. Ground nodes need to be noted, because just like you said, it's a concrete slab that that building is on. So have they did a ground floor assessment for mold? Because that's where mold starts at, and that's how mold builds up in the place. So have there been a ground assessment to mold? I mean, going all the way around that building, just like you said, you found it in that kitchen, in that little closet. Could you tell where that mold started from? Was it the outside coming in, or was it coming down from the roof side that sparkled just in that little spot?
Shauna, would it be fair to say we should do a ground level mold inspection?
It can definitely be something we look at. I don't know.
Well, I have a question about that. Is that part of, it would seem like that would fall into some kind of compliance, right?
Yeah. So basically, if I'm a registered professional and I walk into the building and I'm tasked with making a code compliance, and I see something that I haven't seen before that's like, oh, that's a doozy, I would tell the city, who has deep pockets and wants to get it right, that there's a mold problem and you're gonna have to pay me to fix it, sucker. So yeah, if they see, they have an incentive to find issues because they're private contractors like that. So, and mold's, something you wanna make sure that doesn't happen in the building.
Yeah, and I think that is something that we would include. I'd have to think about exactly how we roll that into the contract, but because it has been noted in the report, that's something that we will have at least in that one location reviewed, and it can be obviously if we have somebody who's specializes in looking at that type of thing, we can have them review around the building to make sure that it's not something that's in other locations as well.
We have another hand up. Looks like Dr. Stewart.
Again, pardon me, I just saw the link for the report, so I'm gonna look into that, but I wasn't able to open it. So if this is in the report, please forgive me. You mentioned code compliance. So I heard structural, I heard plumbing. Does the report outline all the code compliance issues that are to be addressed?
It does, yes.
Okay.
The individual items throughout the building that have to do with code, like there are some egress issues, drinking fountains, ramps, and things like that. So it's a wide variety of code compliance issues, both with ADA and then like plumbing issues and electrical and things like that were noted.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look at that because I got more questions, but I don't want to ask questions that are already there. So I'll review that and then send the council my questions.
Thanks, David. You can send it to Mary or I, and we'll forward it to Shauna.
All right. Could you drop your email in the chat, or is it in the report?
You bet.
I'll put my email in the chat.
All right. Thank you.
Is your hand still up, or you just forgot to put it down?
I forgot to take it down. I'm sorry.
Again, back to that overall building assessment. You're all saying that it's within a 4 months deadline to get the a schedule up to see what is actually need to be done and when it needs to be done, or is also included in that 4 months of this?
No, what needs to be done has been assessed, and that's part of the report. That's what we paid the company Ratio, who's working on the bigger project, to do. So everything that needs to be done for code compliance, they develop that report. That gives a punch list to of this, things like this ramp is not ADA compliant. But the design phase that she's talking about is the designer that they're hiring. How do we make that ramp ADA compliant? Well, if we raise it 8 inches over here, then that creates a slope of under 5%, and now it's ADA compliant. So that's what we mean by design. It's kind of a fancy word for just shifting concrete and around and getting plumbing right. But that design phase is necessary in order to tell the contractors what to do. So back to the timeline. And you all know all of the work, because a lot of people were part of that. This was the work to identify what was wrong and needed to be open. Boom, council said go, gave us dollars. And then Shauna needs to put out a competitive bid to an equal opportunity bid to the construction and community. And then what she's doing is this phase right now. So she's put out that bid, and if we're really lucky, we'll get a solid contractor in a hot contracting environment. You all know how hard it is to find a contractor.
Especially now, I understand.
Once that contractor, and we got to hire somebody, and we have rules on who we can hire, that goes into the design phase here. All the little things that need to get fixed, that they need to develop shop drawings in order to tell people how to fix them. That takes a little bit of AutoCAD work, so you need to draw this goes this way. That's the 4-month period that she's talking about. And then this is the construction period, and then this is the open period. So it's tight timeline.
So that's what I'm getting at. So you're saying from the dollar amount until now, that's not in the 4 months period, according to your drawing. Go to from the dollar sign to the next slab you got.
Yeah.
What period is that in?
That's the request for proposals for design and construction services. That takes a little bit of time for Shauna to get together because they need to take the report, mill the report, do the cost estimating on their point, and it takes a little bit of time to put that contract out. And so that's where we are right now, and that's what Shauna just said. Contract is launched, or the request for proposals is launched. So we put that out there to search for the contractor to do this. City staff doesn't have the contracting power in-house to do that.
Okay, then so how long that's gonna be on the line before? What I'm trying to get is, I'm trying to get the timeline.
Okay.
Is that 1 to 2 months or 2 to 4 months within that little bracket right there?
Shauna, can you relay the timeline to project completion again?
Sure. I'm going to kind of go through the bullet points. So pull this up so I give you all the correct information. So right now we have the request for qualifications to get the architect on board. That is out. We have to advertise that first 30 days in order to get folks to be able to put together their proposals. And then those are going to be due on November 16th. Then we have to review those, get the contracts negotiated and everything. And then we anticipate going to council for that. And then in January, and then that will start that 4-month design period.
So you're saying November from now to January, there's a 2 months gap in there without with going with the RLP. I'm just taking the whole RSP and put them in the 2 months to go to council. That's why I'm putting all of this, still you breaking it back down. I'm just gonna use the first part. So from here to January is the RP, whatever consisted in that RP, which is that 2 months before you go to council. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. And then we'll have a contract with the architect, and then they can start their work of putting together the documents. And then we have 4 months in the schedule for that. And then, what in the part of the process for the design, it has to go through review for inspections, like city review for compliance, and they have to approve the drawings. So we have a little bit of time in the schedule for that. And then once we have that review completed, then we'll put it out to bid. And I'm going to look at my overall schedule so I can tell you kind of when we anticipate that happening. Our schedule is showing putting the drawings out for bid in July of next year. And then we would have a contractor on board who could then actually go in and complete the work that's been identified. And then we have a 4-month construction duration that's been kind of identified in that compressed schedule. So that would be July.
Basically by this time next year.
So what I'm looking at is you have 4 months, next consideration of 4 months from January, March, April, that could be April.
Design period.
Is that the design period? Because I don't see you guys up there. That's what I'm trying to pick up. I'm trying to pick up these 4 months, within these 4 months that he's doing.
Tell you what, Shauna, it might, given my handwriting, poor eyesight, can you provide a timeline to the group that we can email everybody here, given the instructions? I mean, I love this stuff, but
Right.
so Mr. Chavis would like a timeline listing all of the steps, which sounds good. Speaking of time ticking. So, but I will tell you that is fast. It's fast. We want to get it done. You said get it done, but there's people that need to play ball with us, and that's the contractors. People have to bid on this stuff.
Right.
We got to get the right person. We can't get some schlob that's going to wreck the project, right? So that's where we come in. Get it done fast. Fast means money. The faster you move, the faster the money. So the faster the money flows. Ms. Silver.
So, when do we get to see the designs?
The designs are listed in the designs are really shop drawings. So they're sets of mechanical drawings. So they're really like, where does the plumbing go? We don't tend to involve the public with that, but we're happy to be transparent. I mean,
So my understanding is these aren't designs like for the interior.
Oh, okay.
So these
That's
are-
what needs to be
These
done.
are these are designs that the contractors are gonna give to the city to say, here's how we're gonna do the work.
The plumbing does.
So
all
here's-
that.
Takes it out,
Got it,
yeah.
got it.
here's
The
a
structural.
an example of a design that's very, very exciting. This ADA spot can't be more than 2% this way, concrete slab.
Yeah.
And then this ramp can't be more than 5%.
Right.
So that's the kind of very exciting design work that I did when I was in an engineering firm first starting off my career. If you want to come into this world, yes, please join me. All right.
So then a follow-up question to that is about the interior design. What's the anticipated start date of that?
Are you talking about a code compliant interior design?
Well, no, like
What-
once
Fun design.
They want, they want to see
Yeah.
it.
Well, I'll tell you, so the fun stuff doesn't come till we eat our pudding or porridge, right? So we gotta eat our porridge first. We gotta hire a contractor. I hate to go back to this thing, but hire a contractor based off of our values. We want to create an experience. This group, when they're ready to move on from the plumbing details, will start to tell us what kind of things that we can get this. We want to get somebody fun, right?
Right.
Presumably, I don't want to presume that we want somebody fun. So somebody fun, then they start to work with us to develop. They might put in money of their own. But we tell them in the RFP contract, hey, this is Durham. Welcome to Durham. You're not doing a roller rink in Cincinnati. You're doing a roller rink in Durham. Here's what we believe. This is what this group is trying to do.
And so, will that happen before or after it opens?
I don't know. But if we can put out, we've got the construction timeline that we're gonna follow up chapter and verse, and send out to this group. This timeline is unclear. So it is simpler to, and there's back to the directions and back to the base off of this group, motion made to hire an operator, that has its own timeline. Or to, motion made to hire an operator here. Same kind of deal, put out a request for proposal, make sure council is friendly with it. Find, if the request for proposal contains the language, the federal language, because this is more like an art project. This is more like the job we gotta do. You guys are best at the art project side. So, unless there's some HVAC and plumbing folks in here, okay, great. Oh, yep, you're hired. So what we're trying to get to is this part. I would treat you just like we would for an advisory commission to help develop a proposal for a call for artists, right? So I'm an artist. Like I know what a call for artist is. So we want to get somebody who's not just going to turn hand over, cash over fist. They do want, if we go this route, they do want money as you come in the door. That would be a for-profit venture. We have a policy of very low fee. So we want, and I'm speaking for Durham Parks and Recreation,
Right.
we want teams in this having a lot of fun. So if they're making money for every team that goes in the door, we would probably want to subsidize that, right? So that they get a ticket, teams get a ticket, teams get a free Durham residents. So that gets a little messy. So I'm not entirely sure about this. This model here would be a little bit different. And I'm just saying, here's asking you for your advice, because I don't know. This model here, we would, we don't necessarily have that resources now to staff another center. We do have the town. Keith Doss-Reese, did you know he was a African-American skate instructor in New York City in the 80s? And I say capital 80s. So there's talent in DPR that wants to run a facility like this, but we got a big job to do across the city. So we would have to have council. There's two ways to do this. One, you pay money to a private operator. Two, you pay money to us. We don't know which way they're going to go. They're our bosses, right? And they're the city administration. So what we could develop a model that's in line with My Durham Teens program. We would be using this in any case for DPR programming as a city facility, like we used to use it when Mrs. Albrecht was there. So we had our special, our after school programs there. We had My Durham Teen programs there. We always paid. So this would be, this model would be structured like this, where we have free open skate to the community. We'd have a variety of programs. Here's how you become a DPR program. You do something cool.
Take that FREE out of it. We did not ask for nothing to be free on this, because we know it's a cost. If y'all keep trying to put everything free, then you're gonna find out that it is not worth it.
Yeah.
What we're saying is that it should be a cost for everyone, but it can be affordable for everyone.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about, the affordability.
Yeah.
We find that there is some kids that can't afford it. You can put a
Fee schedule.
in it, but just try to say, oh, this is free this night or that night. No, we want it to be a selling just like it always was. You pay to come in. If you have some special things, some special people that wants to use it, they have to pay rental fees and whatever. That will help the whole community, everything out.
That's to respond to that point across the profession.
But you can do rentals on either one.
Yeah, across the profession, this is a tension in Parks and Recreation, whether to have it free, affordable, subsidized. We do it all, and we do find that having a little bit of contribution to it makes people realize the value of it. So just saying, and that's across the team. We do, like, there are some ways. Fee schedules or something like can be exclusionary, so we don't want the fees to be so high. For some groups, like rental groups, we might want to have a special arrangement. For example, with soccer fields or football fields, sometimes we'll say, if you do something for us, we can go to the Recreation Advisory Commission and recommend a fee reduction. So to lower that cost, if they have a proven benefit of serving the population, we want to serve. So there's a bit of trade-off with that, but affordability is absolutely, I would call that, hands up, who would say affordability as a value? Oh, okay, we have our first value. All right, all right. Looks like we've moved on.
Hey, Tom, can I interrupt really quickly? We have Eddie with his hand raised and Dr. Stewart with his hand raised.
Can I go forward?
Yes, go ahead, Eddie.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to address the model, and because I represent the Raleigh-Durham Skaters Association here in Raleigh. I'm out of Raleigh, but I've been roller skating for the last 27 years. So I've seen where the landscape of Raleigh and Durham has gone in the last 5 years. We used to have an average of 4 roller skating rinks in Wake County and also Durham as well. With the landscape now, it's just one particular rink that's operating in Raleigh. So, and plus I work with the Raleigh Parks and Recs with a adult roller skating program. So I myself, and with the Parks and Recs and with the organization that I represent, we definitely pushing programs. Health and fitness is a big thing for teaching and understanding how your body reacts, your balance, control, mental and physically understanding how things work when you having fun. And the model, we are actually is other models that's part of other parts and recs in other parts of the country. So it just, since I know the landscape, am happy to be a part of it, working with Raleigh and Durham. The Durham part that I work with is the WD Hill. So I've been working with that for the last 2 years now with a roller skating program. And with the Raleigh Parks and Recs, which is doing very well with an indoor within the gymnasium. That's coming along very well as, too. With the landscape, with skating here, it seems like the Parks and Recs is very much needed. It's just how to put a between the skating part with the public, and also with the Parks and Recs, which offer programs, activities, and so forth. So where I see it is a big deal here, but there's other Parks and Recs that has indoor and outdoor rinks, and they just don't utilize it just for only skating only. So there's a lot that can be within how the diameter with inside the skate rink and outside the skate rink as well that can be utilized. A couple of ideas that come to mind, probably haven't been taught, is to have an outdoor concrete floor. I don't know how big.
Ed, Great thoughts.
No,
Let's save our budget for inside first and then work outside.
yeah.
And there is I'll clue you in after this on the bigger project on Splash and Play where we have some opportunities for some other paved areas. Cliff Jackson on this is also working for different kinds of all things roller with a kind of splinter group soon to be public, soon to go public. But those ideas are great, and I've written down healthy programs, partnership programs other than rollers. Did anybody else? We're
Okay,
timeline is collecting. So, Mr. Chavis, hold on one second.
good.
But is there another person who hasn't had a chance to speak?
I think Dr. Stewart.
Davis.
Okay, yeah, I definitely, hold on, I want to make sure we get a round of,
I just had a question going back to the private contractor versus the DPR.
Okay.
operations.
back to
Is
the,
that allowed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question was just because the private contractor would obviously be fully an independent business separately staffed. If it was DPR run, I know you're talking about the staffing and not being able to fully staff it. So what is the typical ratio of like DPR employees compared to other people that would be hired? Does that make sense?
yeah, no, we do, basically, it's money, and, council is very supportive of this project. We need to give them a credible proposal so they can raise money. What we would do is, hire an in-house operator who run it like a center, somebody who has skate experience, or basically shift, talent around the department. We do hire, all sorts of contractors from swim lifeguards so we're used to managing a full group of skills. And our director Wade started, thinking, could this be a partnership for a job training program where you have teams who are hired as contractors to operate the center?
Mentioned that at one of the last meetings.
Yeah. We're into it. Maybe it wasn't Wade's idea. All right, not Wade's idea.
Something like that. I was
Yeah.
thinking of
You gave Wade the idea, and
Okay.
he told me, so ergo, but it can be Cliff's idea.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
But you
I was gonna say-
program, we can get students from there.
Yeah,
I also would volunteer my time totally to like help run things like temporarily or permanently, whatever. Like I'm happy to do that. I think there's a lot of us within the Wheels community, like, I don't know, that would at least like
Yeah.
bridge the gap.
yeah, let me tell you how that, so we do work with a ton of volunteers. And what we do is do the full background check and everything, so don't commit any crimes between now and then. We do, so these are coaches. They're, we have such a range of operators, we have coaches. One thing about programmers too, which is an interesting model for you to think of. Now, obviously, we've got a lot of ways we could go in programmers, but here's how we do programmers. Here's how I do programmers. Somebody comes to us with an idea, and then we figure out how to make it into a program. And this can be as wild as like, look, I do graffiti. I want to do a graffiti park. I'm like, wow, why don't you do that at Walltown Recreation Center, where you set up a program to teach street art. And so that was actually a pretty successful program. It got them experience doing teaching. So bringing graffiti to a level that was, kind of cool and part of the community. And we also set them up for different competitive art grants. So we're like, take it to the next level through this grant. Here's a way to apply for it. They had to compete on their own. It was all competitive, but we could advise them. So there's room for that in a model. In this model, and to say it, less room for that in a private model.
Right, because it's all for profit.
Right, yeah, and it's, but the profit model, to think of, not to,
I'm not saying it doesn't work.
it's the quickest, it is the most acceptable, or it's the way to get stuff operating soon. It is a known quantity. So, and our timeline is to open it up to the public soon. Obviously, we can dial that in. We don't contract forever. We contract on a term basis. So I'm not knocking either model. I'm impartial.
Also, in the last meeting, you specifically said that we could include values like this in the RFP with a private contractor.
Yeah.
We included a contract with a private contractor, but they have to hire youth from our community and things like that, pay them a living wage and things like that.
Yeah, we do. We actually do that a lot with our contract. I'm not, we, you know, Durham is a living wage city. We pay all of our folks living wage. And you know, even our folks that grind grits at you know, mill. You know, I mean, every group. So, but that's something that we could include.
I have a question. Is there any benefit to hiring a private contractor really in the grand scheme of things,
Get it open soon.
other than that?
But with your timelines, that's why you're trying to get this done simultaneously, so that in theory, we could be working on those things for the DPR model now.
Right, yeah.
So that it's ready to go just as quickly as a private contractor.
That's true. That's exactly true. Yeah, so it takes a bit to get this set up. We don't have a clear path. You're advising us. So there could be a hybrid approach. Contract with a year, we see how you like us, we see how you respond to the RFP. You know, that gets us open. We build this program and start to add more staff. So, you know, and there's some limits to what we can make a private contractor do for us. They're private. That's why they're, you know, they have to follow the contract. We spell out contracts extremely specifically. So, anyways, that's some thoughts. We don't have to solve tonight, but we have to solve very soon.
Sure. Yeah.
So any more thoughts? I mean, we got a whole board here. It is, you know, getting into the evening hours. I want to respect your time. This doesn't have to be the end of the conversation, to be the beginning. Mary's already prodded me to photograph any of this, and then we're open. What do y'all want to do?
Are there more questions on Zoom?
They haven't taken their hands down.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dr. Stewart, have you taken your hands down? And Eddie, do you guys have questions? Sorry to.
I was waiting, but I know I've asked many questions, so I was just being patient. I did have just a quick two.
Thank you. Go for it.
Number one, who's operating as the owner's rep on this project? Number two, when is 50% schematic design expected to be done?
Could you repeat that first question?
Who's operating as the owner's representative on this project?
Shauna.
Got it.
Yep, project manager. And when does 50% expect to be done? That's a bit of chaos math there, but I'm sure Shauna could let that put that into the timeline that she's going to be providing us for next episode, or for as soon as she puts it together, we'll email it to you. So.
All right, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Energy levels high. Maybe one more candy. Come on, we can do this all night. Order up a coffee.
Yeah.
So I just got one other thing. You talked about other programs.
Yeah.
The facility already has some other programs. It has the batting cage. It has the go-karts. I don't think those things should be eliminated. I know the primary focus for the majority of people is the rolling rink.
Yeah.
But those are still healthy activities for children. I'm taking my grandsons there to do the batting cage when they were on baseball team.
Yeah.
And I don't think they should be eliminated.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's part of the broader site plan where we're going to have to, you know, evaluate what's best, and also like what does the community want? What do we want to do?
And that's the part I'm gonna bring up. If we go with DPR running, we can request all those to still be out there. Help children to learn more. Just like he said, there are other programs and partnerships that can help make this place better run than just having, we got a private contractor limiting us is there. And then we're gonna take these parts and put something else over it that's not gonna be beneficial to our youth. I'm looking at this as a youth project totally. I'm not looking at a project that's trying to just have two things, a swimming pool and a roller skate. There's lots of room for other activities that's already out there.
Yes.
And we should be looking for it on the park and recreation to help make this the biggest and the best place here in Durham to offer what we already got. Because we got it, we got the space.
Yeah.
Let's utilize it
Yes, to the
before,
fullest.
to the fullest before others come in here and make our decisions and not getting out there to the community and giving them something else to work on. So I like the idea. How many of you would like us to send this message to him so he can send it to others? That we want all those entities out there to stay.
I say yes.
For me, it's not a blanket yes. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that will use this space. And I think the reality, and one of the things that makes these things difficult is we can't make everybody happy.
That's true.
You know, we just can't. And so we've got to, you know, come to kind of, I think, the best compromise in those things that we can together.
And if we can serve during citizens, everybody's not gonna want to go to school. So there should be somebody for those kids to go get that phone. Some kids gonna want to do the go-karts. My thing is that the money that it brings in, hopefully is gonna open the door to develop on the other areas as long as we stay under the general department.
If I can suggest maybe, I think if you have a specific thing that you're interested in there, like the go-karts, I love go-karts. I want to take my son to ride go-karts, you know? And, yeah, and so batting cages, we did that, we did the maze,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
See, you hear what he's saying? See, these are kids that we need to be listening to while we adults are making decisions, leaving these kids out. Just like you brought your kids, he says he likes go-karts, he likes this. So why should we right now try to make a decision so for somebody else to come back later and take it away from him, and then we'll be back?
And freeze frame for a second.
Let's
Okay,
keep it all
so,
on the table for now.
yeah, so DPR likes all fun stuff. We have 2,000 acres of fun stuff. We have a mandate right now for two things. With the, many of you have been involved with the site plan studies, the development projects, and we have 3 proposals on the table. That's not decided in this room, that's decided broadly in the community with the involvement of a lot of kids and super involvement by that kid right there. So what's on the table is, you know, one, here, we heard that now, fix up Wheels so we can open it sooner rather than later. That's going to mean that Wheels the Box is open to the public before the rest of the site is developed. It's going to be a construction mess, but we'll figure it out. The two things, if you have a private contractor, we still tell them what to do. They're not involved with the development decisions except for possibly the curtain and the drapes and things like that, that we will advise them on. So they don't tell us what to do with our building, but we work as a partnership back and forth. And they operate the building because you need a responsible operator for the building. You don't want that responsible operator to tell you what to do with the park system. That's a broader conversation, probably something that you guys should come back to keep advising us on all of these points.
Yeah,
So.
Or part of the rinks could be private and then the other parts could be DPR.
Well, it'll all be.
But I think this is a great opportunity for Parks and Rec to have a unique park.
Yes.
By keeping all of the other things. It's another place I keep that in there.
Yeah.
So what I was gonna say though was, you know, we formed a group of skateboarders and, who wanna see a skate park in
Yes.
Wales as well. And so.
You know why?
Wait
a minute, hold it. You know why?
What?
You wanna know why? Cause I done my research. Them white folks and money folks over there want y'all to remove that noise making away from over there and put it somewhere else. So you might as well, I am gonna tell it to the day I die. We do not want that over here. Leave it where it's at because they was there first and they was there before all this other money came there. And now all of a sudden you wanna move them out for them people? That is not fair and not right.
Cliff, I feel like you're eminently qualified to respond to that. I'm gonna let you take
Yeah,
the floor.
so my real point is whatever about that. The real point is get a group together, you know, to represent these different parts that you want to keep, right? That's what we've done, and that's how we're getting traction. You know, we're coming together as a group of skateboarders saying, you know, it just makes sense that part of Wheels Fun Park should be a skate park.
Yeah.
And
You mean
so,
outside skate park?
yeah, outdoor skate park, and so we've
I mean,
got,
there was a mini skate park is.
yeah, there was a skate
outside
park
of-
there, yeah.
Yeah, I, as a roller skater, would never mess with it, but it did exist before
Right.
any of this came about.
Okay, so fun fact, is it fun to ride on that skateboard thing now? I've checked it out, it's
I've
rustling
never
back.
been back there, I don't.
But,
Oh, back at Wheels, yeah. no.
what is on the, if you go to the Splash and Play website, there is some proposals on the table that Cliff and the group of skaters and
Yeah.
teams that I've been working with.
I know it, and I know y'all been doing that undercover,
And let me
and
say
I'm gonna
this,
speak,
super
I'm gonna speak
undercover.
openly to you all, because I know exactly what y'all been doing.
Yeah, and this is why
Undercover, been
though, Mr.
doing
Jim-
this, trying to remove
No,
what
no,
we've
no,
been
no.
asking for from the
No,
very
no, no.
beginning,
This is-
because
I'll
we
tell you
have
why.
asked
Let me tell
from
you
the
why.
very beginning, you
Can
can
you
talk
just
all you
stop a
want
second?
to, I'm gonna
Can
talk
you just
over
stop
you.
a second?
We asked you at the very beginning, when we first heard about Wheels, to keep all those entities out there.
Yeah.
Okay, now y'all coming
I
up,
always say keep it.
and everyone else be here. Now y'all wanna keep up and tell them folks, help them folks downtown to move away from downtown. Cause
That's not, if you could let me tell you
there
why.
has been a problem, and you might as well go back in history and find out. There has been a problem ever since some big shots have moved down there about that roller skate making noise. And y'all might as
Skateboarding
well,
is what it's called.
It's not-
y'all might as well
It's not
face
it.
the fact.
You're wrong, sir. The reason why is that skate park is kind of garbage. It's a death trap. It's not fun to
It's
skate.
not meant for
And
skaters,
it was
designed
never
well.
built, right, it was never designed or built well in the first place. And nobody really likes it.
Yeah,
That's why.
You
That's
go out
why,
there,
sir.
man, every day you go out there, you see somebody out there.
Yeah, because it's the
There's
only
nothing
thing to
else to
skate.
do.
Folks,
It's
there's,
the only thing to
just,
skate.
I was skating it because there was no rink to
Let's
skate
wrap it
at
up.
Brookville.
So from a DPR perspective, we want more skating, not less. It's a done deal in Durham Central Park. We worked to, make the crappy stuff that you don't like slightly better just recently.
I
and
mean, how
invested in
much
there.
have you heard us say?
Thank
that
you.
skate park sucks?
I know, I
No,
told you what my
no,
budget was. However, we do have an opportunity to work with Wheels through the site planning process. I'd like to wrap the meeting because we could absolutely argue about skaters all night. Only Cliff and Kate are the skaters present now and have been involved with those conversations. Folks, we'll get back to exploring this. I've done as many comments. Mr. Chavis has had the floor. And thank you all for our online participation. I appreciate it. It looks like we're losing. Eddie, did you want to have the last words?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Uh, Well, I just wanted to ask, I'm representing the nonprofit, rather Durham Skate Association. When is the time to submit a proposal or sit down with ideas of programs and activities that I know that can be utilized, because they're utilized in other areas, and to try to find the right fit for the Durham Center as well. So I just want,
Good question. That was the past hour, but we decided to spend it on plumbing instead. Not plumbing is good. We know we need plumbing. I'm a little punchy.
We needed.
That was a conversation we needed. We will continue this conversation as to programming partnerships with any model here. We can structure different relationships with nonprofits, rental groups, groups like the roller derby, basically those are things that we can structure if we get deeper into this phase. Shauna is going to make the 120-page report available. She's going to do a simplified timeline, like we discussed for y'all. We're going to find out where the 50% design development mark is, somewhere in there for the folks that care. And we're going to move forward because we have a mandate from council to open this, and I don't want to say that this group of people didn't get everything they needed to get out expressed. So, all right, Mary's going to set up the next episode, and this is specific to Wheels, the Wheels facility that's accelerating, right? We talked about the accelerated pace. Keep in mind that the larger project includes the entire site, and you guys have been involved with that very, very deeply for many, many meetings. So this is we're moving forward with this. Wheels is moving forward faster because you asked for it. The skate park has been put in as an alternative potential. And those will move forward under the scrutiny of council as we move forward, as always.
I'm
Hey,
just
Jane,
wondering, is the parking lot or the upper part near Wheels, is that part of this first phase or no?
We are gonna have to figure out parking in a major way. We know we need ADA parking, that's what we're focusing on. There's some decisions that the entire site, parking, the wheels must be parked, you must be able to access it. We are a lot of the larger part of the project is developing a lot of parking. So the facilities need parking. So we will, with the opening of Wheels, we will have to ensure that there's adequate parking for Wheels.
Right.
There's also a initiative that the architect site plan me are exploring is how to connect Wheels via bus, via walking. So it's more accessible. All of that stuff costs money, all of that stuff takes time and permitting and thought. But access to the site is critical, and it does need to be made ADA too. But we're getting a move forward ADA.
So you got all this land on the opposite side because you can't get to the park on the opposite side without going up the hill.
So
Can that front side of it be
about that,
parking?
Excellent question. So and we've tasked the designers of the bigger site, go to Splash Play website and look at the alternatives we've got a really cool park here and we've got a really cool facility here. How do we get across the street safely? Elevated walk was pitched. We'll see, safely. And then we do have that space that the designers are considering for a lot of different purposes. But so and that's the space what I'm referring to is the hill directly across from the roller rink.
Right.
We have kept that within the site plan process as basically a rectangle on the site plan saying put something here, paving wise. So, and that's part of the park development, some nerdy stuff, but basically placeholder, team Wheels, figure out what to do on that side. So, and how to connect. So, and that's all in the Splash and Play plan and we're just attacking the problem, figuring out how we make.
I say we do something like the R. Kelly, Brian Bridge, so it's lit up. That's what I.
Yeah, I love it. It's a beautiful bridge. All right, on the beautiful bridge note, folks, let's wrap it up. Thank you. Oh wow, class. Thank you.
For that level,
You covered a lot. I thought you covered a lot.
Just for.
Check it together.
Thanks, everybody.
So I didn't get it.
Who skates for
You.
them?
No, these are from Wheels itself.
Oh, I
This is
believe
shit
it.
now that I-